Today we're going to work on the second part of our brainstorm for our compare and contrast writing of the Billy Goats. Yesterday we worked on this part of the brainstorm where we listed 5 different reasons that the Billy Goats are the same and 5 different reasons that the Billy Goats were different. Today, what we're going to do is we are going to take this information and we are going to work on the second part of our brainstorm, which is choosing the specific details we want and adding in our sentence starters. We will also completely write our introduction sentence and our conclusion sentence. But before we get to that, I need you to make sure that you have all your materials with you. So you need a pencil, you need this paper that was sent home to you in your materials distribution, and that is it. I have this paper for you. So what we're going to do first is we are going to write down all of our sentence starters for each of our sentences. So the sentence starters that we're going to use are going to be similar to what you've used in other writing. So many times we start our first detail sentence with the sentence starter of first. So right now, next to number 1 on similarities, I want you to write first. After first, make sure you put a comma. This is called a time order word. And almost every single time order word has a comma after it. Then I want you to jump down to number 2. The next sentence starter that we're going to use is also. And then put a comma after that. And then the last one that we're going to use is finally. And a comma after that. Now, please don't forget to start each of those words with a capital letter. So now what we're going to do is we are going to choose which details we want to use. I'm going to choose 3. You also get to choose 3. However, they do not have to be the same as mine. One thing about the brainstorm is that you do not have to write complete sentences. The purpose of a brainstorm is to get your ideas on paper. So we're not going to spend time writing complete sentences. That'll be your job when you write your rough draft. So for now, we are going to do 3 little periods after our comma. And what that means, that just means that there are going to be words in between my sentence starter and what my similarity is. So let me show you what I mean. I'm going to look back at my brainstorm part 1, and I'm going to choose my 3 details. So my first detail is that I want to include is that they all live on a hillside with brown dry grass. My second one that I'm going to choose is that they all want to eat the grass on the other side of the bridge. And my third one is that they all cross the bridge, even though Troll doesn't want them to. So right now, I would like you to decide, which are you going to use? You do not have to do the same ones as me. You can if you want. It is up to you. So once you've chosen that, here's what you are going to do. You're going to go back to, since you don't have this paper, I will leave it up for you to see. So we'll go just like that. And I have my first detail right here. So it says, so I have first, and I'm going to put live on a hillside with brown, dry grass. Okay. Now, if I said, first live on a hillside with brown, dry grass, does that make sense? Is that a sentence? No, it is not. I'm missing my who. I don't know who I'm talking about. So when I go to write my rough draft, what I'm going to say is first, all three billy goats live on a hillside with brown, dry grass. So the words that would be filled in right here would be all three billy goats. And then I would continue on with my writing. Remember, the brainstorm is just to get your ideas on paper. So please pause the video if you need to and write down your first similarity. Okay, now we're going to write our next one. So my next one that I chose is they want to eat grass on the other side of the bridge. So I'm going to put want to eat grass on other side of bridge. Now, again, am I missing some words here? Yes, I'm missing words, and that's okay. The purpose is to get your ideas on paper. Please pause the video and write your second detail. All right, and now I'm going to do my last similarity. So my last one that I chose is they all want to cross the bridge even though Troll doesn't want them to. So for this one, I'm going to put that cross the bridge even though Troll doesn't want them to. Okay. Again, not a full sentence, just getting my ideas on paper. So right now, if you need to, pause the video, make sure you have all three of your similarities filled in. We will come back to our introduction in a little bit. Once you're ready, go ahead and flip the paper over. Now we're going to work on our differences. So for our differences, we get to choose 3 again. So I want you to start thinking about what differences you might choose. I'm going to start off with just a simple one that they're all different sizes. I'm also going to do this one where little and medium are afraid, but great big is not. And I'm going to do the last one, that great big knocks Troll into the water. So those are going to be my 3 differences. Now, when we are doing compare and contrast writing, we are going to start with one that says, for our sentence starter, our first one's going to be on the other hand. So we're going to start with this one because it tells us that we're doing a new compare or contrast. So we were comparing earlier and now we're contrasting. We're talking about the differences. So our first sentence starter is going to say, on the other hand. Our second sentence starter, we're going to go back to also. And we could do finally again, but this time I'm going to say lastly. So if you would like to say finally, you can, or you can say also or lastly, like me. And I put my 3 dots there just to let myself know that there's going to be words that I'm not that I don't have in my sentence. Okay, now let's go ahead and write our differences. So I'm just going to put, see how many words I have right here? I'm just going to put different sizes. You go ahead and write your difference that you chose. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So, am I allowed to write L and M? I can, right? So I have L and M are afraid of troll. But GB stands for great big is not. Now, why am I allowed to use L and M and G and GB? This is a brainstorm. When you go write your rough draft, you will have to write out those words. But for now, we're just getting our ideas on the paper. Okay, and for our last difference, I'm going to put GB knocks troll into the water. Okay, make sure you have all three differences written down. If you need to pause the video, please do that now. Now we're going to flip our paper back over and we are going to write our introduction. Now we are going to write the whole introduction sentence, and then when you go to write your rough draft, you will copy it exactly. Okay? So what we want to do is we are going to introduce our characters and introduce what story they are coming from. So we're going to start by saying the goats. So those are our characters from the three Now, since this is the title of a story, you need to make sure that you underline it. And actually, Mrs. Peterson just realized she forgot to underline this when I made this. So you can do that too. See, sometimes even teachers make mistakes. So now we know who we're talking about from what story. And now we need to introduce what we're going to be writing about. Are the same in some ways and different in other ways. Okay, so when you go write your rough draft, you're going to copy that sentence exactly. But we know that when we write a rough draft, we're not going to copy these exactly. All right, if you need to pause the video and finish writing that, go ahead. When you're ready, flip your paper over, and now we're going to write our conclusion. Now we're going to start our conclusion with a phrase that you've used before. As you can see, and then we're going to put a comma. You can also start, if you don't want to do that one, you can start with in conclusion. You can also start with something like, these reasons show why or how. And then continue writing. I personally like as you can see. Okay, as you can see, the goats. And remember, the conclusion sentence is very similar to our introduction sentence. So as you can see, the goats from, whoops, need to capitalize it because it's the title of a story. The three Billy goats Gruff. I'm going to underline it because it's also the title of a story. Are the same in some ways. So it sounds very similar to our introduction, right? But different in other ways. Okay, so make sure you have that written down. If you need to pause the video, please do. That is going to be it for the second part of our brainstorm. Next week, we will take our brainstorm and turn it into a rough draft. All right, great job, friends. See you later.